Welcome in, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about March Madness futures for 2025. We're 1 week away from March, so now is the time to shop the lines. I've also found something really interesting over at DraftKings that I think is a potential huge mistake and misprice. We're going to break it all down on the other side. So if you like college basketball, stick around.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today.
Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. We are BTB Analytics. If you're new here, we are all things data-driven sports betting, using data and models to beat sports betting markets. If you're not new here, you know the name of the game. We're always using data to find angles to make money. Today, we're going to be talking about March Madness. We're going to be talking about March Madness futures, specifically national championship odds and Final Four odds. We've built a model for this, and we've been able to bet it profitably for the last couple of years. So let's hop in to this right away. I just want to give some quick context to the model that we built. I'm sure most of you, if you're here, are not unfamiliar or are familiar with KenPom. KenPom is probably the go-to source for college basketball data and modeling. KenPom generates a bunch of data, specifically tempo-adjusted efficiency numbers, and he also generates output for every game. So if you're interested in that, highly recommend to go check it out. But you're probably very familiar with the KenPom criteria, top 44 in offense, top 57 in defense. These are pre-tournament numbers. These are the metrics that have predicted all of the national championships since 2006. So what we did a couple of seasons ago is we took all of this preseason data, which KenPom so kindly gives us, and we built a model with this. So we have a model that can allow us to price teams' probability to win the national championship as well as to make the Final Four. We built this model on some specific statistics, specifically around KenPom's efficiency numbers. So for our offensive model, for our finals model, we are looking at adjusted defensive efficiency, adjusted tempo, and rank for their overall adjusted efficiency numbers. And then on the Final Four, we're looking at the same thing. So without further ado, let's actually look at the results. And just to give some context, this allowed us to bet UConn and Purdue last year. We had some interesting bets for either one of them to make the Final Four, win the national championship, so on and so forth. So this has been back tested and optimized to give us the kind of best numbers. So what do we see? I have it sorting right now to look at only teams with positive expected return or i.e. an edge in the current championship market. So what you see is Auburn and Drake jump off the page with a 30% edge and a 28.5% edge as of right now. Now we can see over on the Final Four markets, those numbers are much less. And you can also see these are priced much more competitively. Duke right now is minus 120 to make the Final Four. Auburn is minus 150. But on the futures market, you can get Auburn plus 330 and Duke plus 425 to make or to win, rather, the national championship. So we're showing a ton of value here. Just to round off our list, Florida with the third biggest edge, Houston, the fourth biggest edge, Alabama, fifth, Wisconsin, sixth, Gonzaga, seventh, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Missouri, Purdue, Kentucky, Michigan State, Arizona, and Maryland, Illinois, and last but not least is Iowa State. So all of those teams have, expected value there for betting their national championship, i.e. the probability of them winning is higher than the price you can currently pay. Now, there's a lot of nuance to betting these types of markets, right? Because as you can see, even though Maryland has a 2% chance via the odds, we think it's a 3.3% chance. Well, that means it only happens about 3 out of every 100 times, right? So even though there's value, the chance of it happening can still be very low. So, where you want to look is you want to look at these top, I would say 10 is a good place to start. You also want to stratify by the KenPom criteria. So the cool thing is we've put all this output up on our website so you can get access to this. What I want to spend the rest of this video talking about is a bet that I have found over at DraftKings, because it's really interesting. And the reason that you price this stuff is so that you can shop the market. Now, I personally have a love-hate relationship with DraftKings because they've limited me. I have other ways to get down. I have secret accounts, but nonetheless, I still look here. And what do you know? I found something really, really interesting. I want to show you here Duke and Auburn versus the field. So this is Duke or Auburn to win the national championship versus anybody else, right? So this is a really, really interesting question, right? Because if we look at our numbers, we're showing a ton of value for both Duke and Auburn. We think Auburn has a 53% chance of winning the national championship, and Duke has a 47% chance, right? So this is a ton of probability. The current market at plus 330 and plus 425 gives them 23% chance for Auburn and Duke 19. So even our numbers, the market's numbers at 23.3%, which is 330, and 19%, which is plus 425 odds, still give them close to a 50% shot of winning one of these teams winning the national championship. So that kind of threw me down a bit of a rabbit hole. And I wanted to show you some of this math. So like I was saying before, Auburn plus 330, Duke plus 425. Here's the implied probabilities of those bets. You can see that if we sum those, we get 42.3%. On the Final Four, the current market is minus 150 for Auburn, minus 120 for Duke. Those probabilities are 60% and 55, about 55%. But if we look at this plus 175 number here over at DK, right, plus 175 for Duke or Auburn, this is only a 36.36% chance that this 175 is implying. Just not even using a model, right? Not even looking at a model, not even trying to price this yourself. There's a huge delta here, about 6%. Just saying what the market's implied chance is versus what DK is pricing this at. This is right off the bat, just a pricing error. The interesting thing is if you think about the implied probability for them to win, if you sum these two probabilities, that is the same as saying those two teams, one of those two teams is going to the national championship, right? So right off the bat, there's edge. Okay. Then I want to point your direction to here. By definition, for a team to make the Final Four, they have to play one game before they would get to the national championship, right? And so right now we have it priced at a 60% chance Auburn will get to the Final Four and a 54% chance. Because both of these teams are slated to be the number one seeds in their respective regions, both of these teams will be favored. But I'm being generous, and I'm going to say they have a 50% chance to win their games, right? They'll be the one seed. They should be favored in any matchup, even if it's against a 2 seed. The closest it will be, it should be 50-50, right? Well, again, this is 57% chance. Then, if you say that there's only a 50% chance that they get to the Final Four, and there's only a 50% chance they win that game, you still get a 57.27% chance that they'll make it to the national championship. So remember, this is slightly nuanced because these teams would have to go on to win the national championship. Whereas here, we're basically saying that the cumulative probability that either team would win is the same as saying either team got there. And this is at 36.6%. So already a ton of value in my mind. And I think that this is personally an insane bet. The only other thing I want to talk about, an angle, is how are the regions priced? How are the regions figured out by the committee? Because this does throw a bit of a wrench in our math, because we don't know what regions they will be in. Remember, there are 4 regions, and to get to the Final Four, that means 2 regions are going to play each other. So we want to avoid the situation where Duke and Auburn play in the Final Four. We want a situation where Duke and Auburn cannot play in the Final Four, right? This is the best situation for us because that means that either team can make the final, like last year, UConn or Purdue can make the Final Four, the national championship game, and that means that no matter who wins, we win, right? We want that situation. So I did a little bit of research, uploaded some things to ChatGPT, and got it to kind of spit this out. So it looks like they come up with the number one overall seed. Wherever that number one overall seed is, they match them to that geographic region. So if Duke gets the number one seed, it's likely they'll be in the East. If Auburn gets the number one seed, overall seed, it's likely they'll be in the South. The more important piece is the East-West play each other and the North-South play each other. So as long as we get a Southern match for Auburn and an Eastern match for Duke, which is probable because Duke should be in the East and Auburn should be in the South, these teams do not play each other in the Final Four. And so this is setting up to be a situation where you can get a ton of value. So for me personally, using my secret accounts, I am definitely going to be betting Duke and Auburn plus 175 to win the national championship. As you can see here, there's a ton of value in this bet. But even just using the market numbers, there's about a 6% edge on this bet. I think the edge is dramatically higher. Now, the only trick to this bet is when do you bet it? Because we're sitting here at February 22nd. It's likely that Auburn and Duke will continue to win. But the thing that will kill this bet and the value of this bet is an injury. A key injury can happen at any time. And so it's threading the needle between when you place the bet and getting as much value as you potentially can. I personally think that I want to wait until the after March 1st is when I think I will pull this trigger. At that point, there's only the conference games and about 2 more games in conference play. So you'll have the conference tournament and then you'll have the 2 games. So you'll have about 2 to 5 games of risk versus right now, you'll have, you're basically, you're going to have an extra 2 games. That's the way I look at it. And so I really think this is a good bet. I think both of these teams individually are also good bets, respectively, both Auburn and Duke, to win the national championship. You can see there's also an edge on the Final Four. I do want to point out, so we will continue to maintain these odds using the model. So if you're interested in that, we have uploaded it and added it to our website. You can go to btb-analytics.com. If you go to college basketball and then just go right here to the March Madness model data, we'll continue to update this so you can continue to shop and look for those edges. But using this data, using market data, we can actually beat the books. We can actually beat the market, and we can quantify these types of edges. So for me, right now, one of the bets I'm going to place small for right now is this plus 175 over at DK for Auburn or Duke to win the national championship. I think it's a great bet. Even just using the market numbers itself, it's clearly showing a ton of value. So that's it. That's all I have for today. So make sure you go and check out the website. Keep an eye there on the odds, so you can see and you can price these markets. We get a ton of questions on, who should win and who's going to win and where the best value is. This is the way you can see it. This is how we would answer it. This is how you price this stuff. We have our college basketball tool as a shameless plug. I want to point it out to y'all. Our net EV model is up and it is killing it. It is killing it. You can bet these games right now. I'll show you what the model looks like here. This is what it's all about, guys. We're pricing sides, totals, money lines for every single game. You can sort by edge. Look, there's an edge tonight on Mizzou here at 8 p.m. There's a small edge on St. John's tomorrow. There's some big edges on the money line for St. John's tomorrow. There's some edges on the totals. Everything here. This price is every single game. And the cool thing is it pulls in 4 different models and aggregates those numbers. So you're getting consensus from 4 different models to price that game, and it allows you to identify a bunch of value. We use these types of methods to price NFL and college football, which is how we're profitable. And now we're using this to price college basketball so we can make smarter bets and we can be profitable in college basketball. We used methods like this last year in March Madness, and we annihilated the market and made a bunch of money. So if you're interested, use code CBB20 to get 20% off. Go check it out. We have week passes so you can familiarize yourself. But we are super proud of this, and we think it's a ton of value. But at a minimum, go to the website, get all the free data, because that is also another tool for you to make smarter bets. All right, guys, let us know in the comments who's going to win the national championship. Where are you placing your bets? Where do you think the value is? And if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and give us a subscribe if you're not already. Make sure you're always got notifications on, because we are going to be going live every single day up until March Madness. We're posting a bunch. Like I said, we're using our new model to price games. We're betting a ton. We're winning a ton. And we just want to bring you along for the ride, guys. All right. I will see you all on the other side. All right. Take care.